Donna Marks. I'm a psychotherapist in Palm Beach, Florida, and author of Exit the Maze: One Addiction, One Cause, One Solution. There's plenty of things I wished I would have been told before I ever started, but there are 5 that are the most important. The first thing is I wish someone would have told me, before you become a therapist, get lots of therapy. I feel that I was an unhealed healer for a long time. I didn't realize it, but I had a lot of issues. Those of us that are raised in complicated families often have a sensitivity to other people, and we know what pain feels like. However, it's always a good idea to be able to resolve your own pain and heal your own childhood wounds and your own intimacy issues and any addictions and all those kinds of fun things before you start trying to help others. So that's number 1 on my list of wishing something that I had learned before I ever started being a psychotherapist. The second thing is that I wish I would have had some training in addictions. Now, they did talk about things like 12-step programs and substance use disorders and a little bit of coursework on that, and maybe 1 or 2 test questions. But believe me, once I started practicing psychotherapy and started having patients come in to see me, almost everybody had an addiction, loved somebody with an addiction, had a child with an addiction, was born into it, and it was overwhelming to not know anything about it. In fact, most of my learning occurred from listening to my patients, not the other way around. Fortunately, I realized that I needed more help with this. And not only through my own therapy did I realize I needed to get into addiction therapy myself for my own addictions, but also I was able to get trained in becoming an addiction therapist in addition to a psychotherapist. So that's number 2 on my list. Number 3 on my list involves having a good editor before you start writing your book. On my first book, I thought I had an editor, but she really wasn't an editor, as I found out later when my husband, who has a really good eye for grammatics, told me that I needed to start over again. So he helped me edit my second book. And then by the time it went through self-publishing and all that, I had invested a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of wasted effort. If I had had a really qualified and experienced editor to begin with, I would have been able to avoid a lot of mistakes and a lot of grief, and probably would have had a much better book the first time out. Fortunately, when I wrote Exit the Maze: One Addiction, One Cause, One Solution, I did have a really good editor whom I met at a publicity summit, and she already had the credentials and all the recommendations. So she saved me a lot of grief. She was wonderful. And consequently, that book won 25 awards. All credited to her, by the way. The fourth thing that I would tell people is to never, ever give up on yourself. I wish somebody had told me that. I think it's so important to know that there's going to be plenty of mistakes. There's going to be plenty of times when it seems like nothing's happening in your dreams and your goals and your career. But if somebody would have told me, never give up on yourself, you are getting there. It just might not seem like it right now. Maybe try this, maybe try that, but never, never, never give up. That's the main thing that I tell people when I'm helping them. So the 4th thing is I wish someone had told me, never give up on yourself. It's never too late to get another try at something. And the 5th and most important thing is never stop learning. I have made it a point of always growing and learning. One thing beautiful about both careers, as a psychotherapist or as a writer, you can never master it. You can never learn it all. And it's fun. It keeps it exciting and interesting to constantly learn something new, to engage in groups, to engage in getting different books, to have conversations with people, to talk to other writers, to talk to other psychotherapists. This is what makes my careers so special, is that I get to keep learning and never get bored with it. So those are the 5 things I wish somebody would have told me before I ever started. I hope they help you. Thank you.